This isn't any regular heat. This is nuclear heat. Live from the 93.7 The Ticket studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. Bringing you the latest from the Square Circle on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Jake Bockoven.
Yes, it is time to talk some wrestling here on 93.7 The Ticket. That is professional wrestling. If you didn't catch on there, that's what wrestling means here. On Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket. Once again, we do this show every week at 9 o'clock. And we get to talk about the latest in the week of WWE. And this week, I think there's like 4 shows. We're not going to quite go through all 4 of those shows. But we are going to have fun as we break down what's currently going on. There's actually a premium live event happening right now in Evolution. They're on probably their final match. Shouldn't say probably. I don't know what else would be on the card here, but Io Sky and Rhea Ripley going at it for Io Sky's championship. I'll just open up and say we got a lot to talk about. Saturday night's main event certainly was a show that is going to alter their plans moving forward. So I'll just start by saying, how's the wrestling week been for you so far, Augie?
I mean, it's been really entertaining. Unfortunate, like you said, what happened last night on the Saturday night main event. But, that is kind of unfortunately, very unfortunate for it. But it's kind of a shakeup, I think, that's needed, because we were talking about how the development of the show and kind of just the last couple of weeks have been kind of slower. This is going to force, the WWE to really pivot. So that was interesting. Like I said, you still feel horrible for something like that happening. Surprisingly, those matches were pretty good last night. And so far, what I've seen from Evolution, tonight going on right now has been pretty entertaining too.
Yeah, I think it's been some good stuff. Unfortunately, when you have Evolution and of course Saturday night main event winning, Raw and SmackDown aren't quite as important, but we'll go through. There's a few things that went there that maybe are going to lead over to this next week. A lot of it, again, partially setting up Saturday night main event and Evolution. But before this week, I should say, I guess we've seen Jelly Roll before in WWE. Now we've got a match at SummerSlam set up for him. So it's been quite the week for Jelly Roll as well in WWE circles.
Yeah, and that's so, WWE does this a lot, right? They bring like some celebrities like that. But yeah, Jelly Roll, I think he's lost like 150 pounds or something.
He looks
like
a lot better.
Things like that. I haven't listened to his music, all that much, but it seems like this could be interesting. And, it makes you wonder, they're trying to bring in that crowd at the same time, it's going to cost somebody that probably deserves it, an actual wrestler, a match spot. And you give it to another celebrity like that sometimes that kind of is like, but they go for the dollars.
Well, there is that. And then there's the, you can obviously, I think he's already outperformed. I think he looks pretty solid. Like you said, he seemed to have lost some weight. He did deliver, I think, a choke slam to Austin Theory before. Might have been somebody else. Austin Theory was kind of taking all those at the time. So and since then, you wonder if he's like worked, if they told him. I mean, I don't know what Jelly Roll's like. I'm sure going on tours and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And what his primary focus is. It's always good to lose weight one way or the other. But he may have been getting in shape to prepare for this match at SummerSlam because he looks a lot better. And then the other thing, I think he's already surpassed Travis Scott as far as his look into WWE. That's what I was kind of thinking when I saw this, and because they went so far as Friday night they opened up with SmackDown, and Jelly Roll was teased to be there. Okay, we figured he's going to do a musical performance. They got him mixed up in some of the action, and again by the end of Saturday he's in a match for SummerSlam, booked for a match for SummerSlam, and you're kind of thinking, okay, all the things you just kind of went through. Logan Paul walked out and told him he didn't, earn spots, all this sort of stuff. But it did get me to thinking, okay, you always kind of think with Logan Paul there, who's in this matchups as well. He's one of the best celebrity to wrestlers I think we've seen as far as in-ring action. And so it gets you to kind of compare these people. And I just forgot that this moment, everything that we've seen in wrestling, they give one of the biggest moment for the year to Travis Scott. And I don't know if after all of that, have they felt like they've got the return on that? Is that something you're going to forget about? I mean, it's almost embarrassing seeing somebody come out here and do as well as Jelly Roll is already doing, and think, man, they already threw the WrestleMania main event to Travis Scott, and it's not memorable whatsoever. In fact, and other than it's kind of frustrating that it even happened.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that was one of the most disliked, videos, that's circulating is Travis Scott, from the WrestleMania. He hurt Cody Rhodes. I think he almost legitimately busted
laid into him,
his eardrum, things like that. It didn't go well on that, but like you said, Jelly Roll already looks like an improvement. I think they're just trying to pivot. Travis Scott was always kind of an interesting case of a celebrity coming on anyways, with all the controversy, the documentaries. But I mean, hey, he's still a top artist. But with Jelly Roll, he's up at the top, and like I said, money talks. So that's apparently where they're going with this, I guess.
Yeah, and we'll get more into it, but they are pairing him with, like we said, Logan Paul going to be in that match along with Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. So if anybody could help carry a match with maybe a one wheel not being quite so experienced as the others, Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre are perfect for it. And obviously Logan Paul can put on a show himself. So it should go all together pretty well. And since we're already talking about that, let's go ahead and kind of jump into it. So it was SmackDown that Logan Paul interrupted Jelly Roll. Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton got involved. Logan Paul ended up beating up Jelly Roll's equipment. Jelly Roll didn't necessarily like that. So then they agreed to be Jelly Roll in Orton's corner and in Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre's corner for the matchup at Saturday Night Main Event. That's where they started this thing. Of course, like I said, Orton and McIntyre can go. They had this long feud back in 2020, 2021. And, so they had really good chemistry. It was a good back and forth match, but you can never beat the RKO out of nowhere. So Randy Orton gets the win over Drew McIntyre. Logan Paul jumps Orton right after the victory, tries to get some shots in, but Jelly Roll comes out and ultimately saves him. Then McIntyre hits the Claymore on Jelly Roll. Thus, later in the night, we saw setting up the SummerSlam match, as it will be Randy Orton and Jelly Roll against Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. So lots of things kind of going on there, including a Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul pairing. What are your thoughts from this, other than what we've shared so far?
It's a little interesting because, Logan Paul is a phenomenal athlete. We've talked about that, whether they're trying to push him. And his last two main matches are going to have been tag teams where he's essentially the secondary guy. And that's kind of what's a little puzzling to me, is you bring in Jelly Roll for this. And like you said, you got I just don't think this is needed. You got the Randy Drew that I thought that was a fine match. It was good. You didn't need to add all the extra stuff to it. They're just kind of doing that. So it's a little overkill, what I'd say. Maybe it's what TKO is asking for, more exposure. Cause they need to bring in on their investments. Cause I'll say this with what you said, all the shows and everything, I'm finally getting my money's worth for all the tape, all the subscriptions I have to have. Yeah. It hit every week. Or every show this week hit a subscription that I'm having to pay for. Thanks, WWE. On that there. So, they got to get a return. So I'm not the biggest fan of this one. Not this will probably be a match I'm kind of on there. And I think also, I'm just going to throw this in there. I think Jelly Roll's a big Cowboys fan, so that also kind of turns me away from all that stuff too. So I'm I have no interest in watching that one right there.
I'm glad I at least know who the celebrity is. Sometimes we'll bring in a celebrity and have to kind of look it up and figure out. Jelly Roll, like you said, I'm not a huge fan of. Know of him, know that he's been kind of taking the music industry by storm. So it'd be good kind of get those eyes on there. We've talked about it before. Drew McIntyre now in his return is just being laid out. Now here has to take a pin. The Claymore on Jelly Roll, is that enough to kind of make him feel more intimidating? I don't know. Again, like you said, there's money. They're printing money off of this match, so it makes sense that way. I just felt like Drew in his return could have been used a little bit more as a better villain. Now, the pairing with McIntyre and Paul is interesting because both these guys, we saw Paul with The Miz for a while, but both these guys kind of feel like rogue loner heels, right? Mm-hmm. They don't often pair up with others. So that'll be kind of interesting, but I'll borrow kind of what they're doing there with Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. They seem to be more friends out of convenience than anything else.
Yeah, and we'll see. And those two can, they're great in the ring and they're great on the mic. So there could be something there. I don't know. We'll just see what happens. SummerSlam is a month and a half away. So they still got time to kind of build this up. But this is, I think, the second official match because Cody Rhodes and John Cena, right, is kind of the one that's going to probably main event it.
Yeah.
So, you know, for this to be the second match, I think official for SummerSlam, that's got it. They got to put on a show for it.
Yeah, you're off to a good card there to start with there for SummerSlam. We jump into the U.S. title. It was Jimmy Uso against Solo Sikoa. Ultimately, Tala Tonga would get involved, and help Solo Sikoa get the upper hand and win the match. Afterwards, Jacob Fatu came out and cleared the ring. We had a little stare down between Jacob Fatu and Tala Tonga. But this is kind of what you would expect, though. I will say this, too, because we won't really talk about it later. They've had Solo eat the pin twice now. They had him eat the pin on SmackDown's main event as well. So it's a little bit weird. As the U.S. title holder, he eats the pin twice, does get the win here, and so it was maybe setting it up against SmackDown. Sometimes the wrestling math usually is if you pin somebody, you pin your opponent on SmackDown, you'll lose to him on the premium live event. That's what happened to Jimmy here.
Yeah, it's just interesting because, you know, we talk about it. Solo starting to get some good graces, all that good stuff, and then gets pinned twice before winning this one. Another interesting thing is I saw this is actually Jimmy Uso's first one-on-one championship match in his 16 years. Like where it's just him in one-on-one. He's been in a lot of contenders match. I was like, that's mind-blowing, you know, because his brother has now been getting opportunity after opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
So good for him. But yeah, this one was kind of by the numbers. You knew what was going to happen. I mean, Solo Sikoa has his squad. They've got the numbers there. So until Jimmy and Jacob get 2 more members, it's probably going to keep going like this.
Yeah, it's interesting. I thought, and Jacob Fatu, obviously the crowd goes crazy when he comes back in to the ring and helps clear it out. That stare down with Tala Tonga is interesting, and they've got to do they got to protect him. Usually you come in, you protect the giant, let them kind of beat everybody up at first. If he's just going to be thrown away pretty quickly by Jacob Fatu, that's going to hold off any, it's going to hurt kind of any threat that we kind of are supposed to take from this giant, because we've seen, and even as with the kind of the tallness factor, that can go away pretty quickly if you're not getting victories and looking strong.
I mean, look at what they I know it was a little bit different, but with Solo, they protected him for so long until, it was the time for the WrestleMania to come around, and then he was kind of a sacrificial lamb. Jacob Fatu, they protected him, and he's going strong, still a favorite. So I agree. They always tease us with this, though. They were teasing with Jacob everybody, right? Like Braun Strowman, any other big guys. So it'll go, and I don't know which one it is, Tala Tola or on there. They all have too many similar names. But he looks like he's the real deal. I don't know much about him other than he's 7 foot, as they claim, maybe really 6'7" or something like that. But hey, he looks like a powerhouse, and we were talking about that a couple weeks ago. There's no true powerhouses, you got Omos, but other than that,
he's never on TV.
Yeah, never. I forget he's still on, under WWE contract.
Yeah.
This guy has the potential to do it, but unfortunately, it looks like it's just going to be another writing on the wall where he'll probably just end up, going against Solo eventually, and then it's just all over again.
Yeah, we'll see what's in the works for Solo's group. As of right now, again, he's the U.S. title holder, and this one felt, like you said, kind of predictable. Jimmy Uso, very unlikely to win this, although it would be the third family member to have won it.
Yeah,
pretty recently, so they could have went with that storyline. It just didn't feel like it was heading there, and it's always felt a little bit forced, I feel like, with Jimmy Uso. But as far as this feud that they're in right now, so it made it a little bit more predictable. Then they had a match between Seth Rollins and LA Knight, which had been kind of what they were setting up all week long. And they expected more time out of this. Yeah. Unfortunately, after the match had gotten started, Rollins ends up injuring his right knee, attempting a springboard moonsault. And you could tell right away he kind of, gets to the corner. You start having WWE personnel, doctors come over and talk to him. Now Rollins, the professional he is, went ahead and took the DDT. Forget what LA Knight calls it. BFT maybe. Blunt force trauma. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, BFT. The finishing move from LA Knight with the injured knee, allowing LA Knight to get the win without having to call it off on DQ or anything, find any different way to get there. So you tip of the cap to Seth Rollins for being able to do that. But again, injuries have popped up in his career. And this just feels like the worst timing for Seth Rollins. I mean, the company has put what is supposed to be always a threat in Money in the Bank around him. And then you add the addition of having him pal around with Paul Heyman and Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. And he's really carrying WWE Raw programming. And without him, it's going to be interesting where they go from here as far as the Money in the Bank goes, and then kind of who's the villain. Is Breaker and Bronson, are they going to still carry that same momentum they've had before? Do you strap the kind of the rocket to one of them? All sorts of questions now without Seth Rollins being out for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, it's gut wrenching seeing that. You don't know if it's a work or not, but kind of the way it all went. LA Knight's reaction. He wanted to keep going. He had to be told essentially no, and you can kind of hear them talking, saying, "Hey, just have him take the pin now." But yeah, this is huge. Seth Rollins for years. When Roman Reigns, John Cena, and CM Punk aren't there. It's Seth Rollins. It has been him. And, like you said, it's so unfortunate because when he was a Universal Champion against Kane at a house show, he tore his ACL and, he's the Money in the Bank winner. I did see a lot of people saying, with everything, you don't have to give the Money in the Bank to anyone else. He could be back in 11 months, which is technically when his
enough time.
Yeah. When his window would be up, or so there, and it could be the biggest surprise and another big cash in, around that time. But, it's huge because he was starting this faction that still doesn't have a name yet. But he was trying to bring them up, and he was just in every storyline, like you said. It's very, your heart breaks for Seth Rollins, but at the same time, I mean, this is a huge opportunity for, like you said, the Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, and with Paul Heyman there being the manager, great things are going to happen. I'm going to say this. I'm not a fan of his. This. Karrion Kross is just kind of out there right now. Talk about somebody that's kind of been everywhere. They can kind of find a way to bring him into this. I think that'd be very interesting. Or, someone like an LA Knight. They haven't really turned him heel. It could be one of those things, where they can pivot there. But man, now the possibilities, every storyline is kind of up for grabs, because I think you got to bring somebody, because I don't think Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker have enough to just be their own faction. They need somebody else. I can't even think at the top of my mind, who would be, other than those kind of fun ones, who would be like the main guy to kind of step in and do it on that part.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, maybe you could send them down the tag team route, but I think you're right too. The best, you always work with what you have in wrestling, and that's what we kind of talk about. That's the fun of having a show like this we can talk about, because they have to pivot their decisions based on contracts generally and injuries. And here's this injury that pops up, and so I think you're right. If they can get him back before it expires, the best thing to do would be have him just rehab it, and when he's ready to come back. But of course, then if you're having him cash in, he's not only got to be healthy, he's going to be healthy enough to put on championship level matches. So it's going to be fascinating to see what they do with it, what they pivot to, who becomes the ultimate heel on Raw, and kind of what they do with this group that is red hot. I mean, they built WrestleMania's plans around kind of forming this group, and it's crazy they don't have a name still. Like it almost is like, man, this could almost be broken up and come to an end if they pivot their direction that far without ever getting a name for the group, which is still odd, but that's fine. We still kind of understand that they're the faction that has been moving things. Now, on the opposite end of it, you mentioned for LA Knight, not the way you want it to happen, but maybe get some momentum out of this. I mean, this is a big match win, and that was kind of the whole idea here. Was LA Knight was going to be the first one that Seth Rollins and his crew were going to go through. And so it was going to be just LA Knight was going to win, because you can't have the first, the new bad guys come out here and not be able to beat their first guy they're going after. So LA Knight was probably not going to win this in any other case. But now he gets the win, and I've seen some people put it as a signature victory. He hasn't had this type of big victory, but it goes back to, is WWE going to run with this, the opportunity, or are they going to say, we already kind of had our plans, this doesn't change anything for LA Knight, despite him getting a big victory?
Yeah, I would want them to run with it, because, and props to him too. He didn't normally they always celebrate after. He put up his hands and then he walked. He walked so that way the cameras would be on him and not in the ring. So kudos to him. It just shows what kind of a guy he is. But I mean, like you said, this isn't how you want it, but opportunity comes, just like this, when you least expect it. And so, he's been red hot. I mean, he was a runner up for the Money in the Bank. I'm not saying, they're going to give the briefcase because I don't really like that. I think
just handing it over.
Yeah, I think if Seth is legitimately injured, torn something, and is going to be out for a year and they have to give it, hey, we're going to be spoiled as WWE fans because they can do a battle royale again. They can do another ladder match for it. They can do something to at least give the earn. And hey, then LA Knight's, he could get it there. Yeah. So possibly with that, but man, it's just Seth Rollins, for as much as people maybe don't like his over the top kind of Joker character that he always has, we got to admit he's carried this company, if Roman Reigns is the top guy, Seth Rollins is just right underneath him, every time, on there. And he just came back from an injury too. That's kind of the thing, he was hurt a little bit. I think he was out for a couple months, like 4 or 5 months. And then, he's there, but man, they gotta stop having him do some of those high flying moves. I mean, the guy's, knock on wood, because we're gonna get there soon too, but he's almost in his 40s, I think. And so, maybe they got to start retiring some of those flips he starts doing there.
Well, and I think he might. It's unfortunate because he is really, I mean, it's not just, the wrestling total package.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins might be up there with the best just because his in-ring performance has been great over the years. And I think you're right, though. At some point, you might have to slow it down. I'm glad you mentioned that house show match against Kane, too, because this is the second time where the company has strapped a rocket to him. And now he just has struggled to stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And generally, when they do that, you're going to pull away. Sometimes that can cost you your entire career or opportunities. Thankfully for him, he's a made man. He's already over. He's part of the Shield. He's, beaten Triple H at WrestleMania, all that sort of stuff. But maybe they will be reluctant to really kind of put put all the programming around him.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look that way. They always say, the best of it, the best asset is just being available.
Mm-hmm.
And he, like you said, time and time, although he does do so much, he is very injury prone. And I'll also say this on a lot of those moon flips, like Tiffany Stratton's and everything. I always do think to myself, when they do those and don't hit them, it all you have to do is just land wrong, like by a centimeter, and there goes, your knee and everything. And I honestly think that was overkill what he was trying to do, because he had done a flip, hit it, and then missed this, and that's what I was like, man, that's when I saw it, I was like, oh man, he really didn't have to do all that on there. But yeah, when he comes back, hopefully within a year or so, he's gonna have to be a ground and pound type of guy, because I don't want to see him doing those flips anymore. And I mean, WWE has, this is what they get paid a lot of money for, to now rewrite it all and give us another guy. Because as you said, I mean, Seth Rollins was everywhere. He was in everybody's programs as a Money in the Bank winner, leader of this faction, beat Roman Reigns and CM Punk in one of the main events, of WrestleMania, like that, strap there. And I think if he is out a year, I think he'd be 40 when he comes back, which is still young in WWE terms, but 40, your body starts to wear down, especially for them. They might not give him another push like this.
And you might, again, you just hope it doesn't turn into, because he's a guy that's consistent when he is there. He's on every weekly programming. And you hope you don't kind of get to the part-time schedule if something like that happens. So we'll see. Again, a big swerve there. And then, of course, the main event of the evening was Goldberg versus Gunther, and what was booked as a retirement match for Goldberg. If he did win, we'll see what happens, is kind of what was up in the air there. From Atlanta, his adopted home. And this was not what many people expected. Goldberg's 58 years old.
Yeah.
Now, he still huffs and puffs and looks scary, so I appreciate that from him. But a lot of people, Goldberg's been kind of told over the years he's not much of a wrestler. He's, you kind of do a 2-minute match, jackhammer, spear, and go, right?
Yep.
But he actually put on a lengthy match here against Gunther, who's one of the best at, to work with anybody, to put a good match together. And Goldberg's knee injury was tough to tell, because it was written into the script, but he was either even selling it so well or it was actually bothering him. But ultimately, this knee injury was really bothering him throughout the match. again, whether it was scripted or not, Gunther ultimately takes that knee brace that he was wearing and uses it to attack Goldberg and really get the upper hand on him. He also, Goldberg at one time speared Charles Robinson in this thing. And it's just, so Charles Robinson has had a tough month or so. He's been clocked now by John Cena and Goldberg. So shout out to Baby Nate, as they call him. And I was just glad they had some of the, Goldberg's old time friends coming back and people that grew up with him and helped him out in WCW in here. So it's cool to see Charles Robinson in that match as well. But Gunther gets the sleeper hold for the win, and we'll see what's next for Gunther. In fact, we learned tonight there's a match tomorrow on Raw for Gunther's title match at SummerSlam. Will be between CM Punk, Jey Uso, Braun Breaker, LA Knight, and Penta. So that's kind of interesting to see what's next for Gunther. But for Goldberg, kind of ends the script. I know one thing that people didn't necessarily like, because it wasn't a premium live event and it was on NBC, we didn't get the whole Goldberg kind of send off, and so they had to kind of cut it for TV time.
Yeah, that seemed a little weird. Seemed a little rude on there to do that to Goldberg as he was giving his speech. But hey, he's one of the legends. I think it was a 300 match streak is what he had going from WCW to WWE. I don't think that's ever, or it might have been more. I don't know.
I think it was like 170 something.
Oh, we talk about people like Rhea Ripley, John Cena, just Goldberg, just in general, just doing that was just amazing. And his entrance was always iconic, the headbang and coming through with the security, on there. So, round of applause for him, because that was great. And he did put on a pretty decent match. Towards the end, you could tell he was a little bit older. That's the last spear he gave to Gunther. That looked pretty rough on there. But hey, being 58 years old, that's amazing. And, I'm very glad they went in this direction opposed to the direction a lot of people were afraid of, where he would take the title from Gunther. And who knows if Seth's injury pivoted some of those plans, was he going to win the title, celebrate, with his friends and family, and good old Seth Rollins comes out and cashes in? Who knows? Yeah. We'll never know now, but it was a decent match, and I'm glad for Gunther, because now, as we say, we were talking about, he gets to say he was the guy that retired the indestructible Goldberg.
Yeah, it is. I think he's going to use that to get some heat on him. So it looks good for Gunther. Again, I feel like this match just should have been elevated a little bit more. They do a great job with the promos, getting all the old feelings that you remember Goldberg entering, like you kind of said there, this nostalgic feelings. But if Gunther had never, they just probably should have done this before Gunther lost to Jey Uso.
Yeah,
because I would have felt like it would have heightened the stakes a little bit. But like you said, I halfway and thought that they might give Goldberg one more title and then have Gunther get it back from him, just to kind of elongate the story and build a bigger thing for Gunther. But now Gunther's just Gunther gets to talk his trash, and we'll see what happens tomorrow night. You got an early pick: CM Punk, Jey Uso, LA Knight, Penta, or Braun Breaker at SummerSlam.
Man, there are three guys I think that can really use it. CM Punk, obviously, for the star power, and that's something they've been teasing now for a while. So that's my number one. LA Knight, come on, something there, or Braun Breaker, with Seth Rollins, going out. You talk about, you want to elevate somebody. SummerSlam is supposed to be, I think, the second biggest premium live event outside of WrestleMania, or the Royal Rumble. So it'd probably be the third. You have an opportunity to do something with him there. So those are my three, but I think it's going to ultimately be CM Punk, and it's going to be great to see that.
Interesting. I would love CM Punk. I think there's a pretty good chance Jey Uso could win this, and we'd have round three, because you've had one for Jey, right, and one for Gunther. Yeah. So I think that could be where they're going with it, but I'd love to see CM Punk get his opportunity at a title here once again. All right, there is a title change in the main event of Evolution. We'll talk about that coming up next year on 93.7 The Ticket.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Summertime is here, and you know what that means. Grilling season. You know what's more embarrassing than an overcooked piece of meat? Your dirty, disgusting, and grimy grill. Let the pros at Husker Grill Cleaning get you ready for grilling season. They'll take your grill apart piece by piece, scrub every inch, and reassemble it so it can look and perform its best. Visit their website, huskergrillcleaning.com today to schedule your appointment. Husker Grill Cleaning, serving Lincoln, Omaha, Malcolm, and more.
Put lawn irrigation on automatic. Think Judson Irrigation for worry-free service to Lincoln homeowners and business community. Judson Irrigation will turn on your sprinkler system in the spring, repair or redesign as needed, and turn it off in the fall. For service to orphan sprinklers, remember Judson Irrigation. They'll never forget you.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage, 402-420-6277, or judsonirrigation.com.
Lincoln's go-to for fun isn't new. It's a place that's been a staple of the city for years and is only getting better. Matson's Bowling and Billiards always has open bowling available with no long lines, unlike other centers. They have live music almost every weekend and great food at EJ's Bar and Lounge, with seating for 150 people. They have popular meals like the EJ Burger, pizza for the whole family, and famous EJ's Wings. Contact Sarah to book a party for friends, coworkers, or family at Matson's Bowling and Billiards, just south of 48th and Holdridge.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats. A1 Automotive's second location is now open at 5110 State Hill Drive, just off of Yankee Hill Road. The new location continues to specialize in all makes and models and provides personalized service as they have for 15 years. To honor the new store opening, A1 is offering $25 off any service over $300, $50 off services over $500, and $75 off services that total over $750, all through July 31st. Schedule your appointment today at a1autolincoln.com and visit their new location in South Lincoln at 5110 State Hill Drive.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important story.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left it once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air,
and Electrical.
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Bring new life to metal treasures with Kaiser Blasting and Coatings. From railings and fences to outdoor furniture and unique antiques, their expert team removes years of rust and weathering, then finishes each piece with a lasting powder coat. Trusted by industries across the region, now local homeowners and businesses can experience the same professional care. Visit KaiserBlasting.com or call 402-421-3559 to request your quote. Restore, protect, and make your metal shine like never before with the help of Kaiser Blasting and Coatings.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockoven on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back on Nuclear Heat, and we're ready to talk Evolution here from WWE, which just wrapped up here on a Sunday. Of course, they had Saturday night main event on Saturday night. Also had SmackDown on Friday night. So, and I think they threw in an NXT Great American Bash in there as well. So there's a lot going on here in Atlanta in WWE this weekend. But we can talk about Evolution as a very interesting event here as we get through it. So we'll go ahead and start. They started off the show, I believe, with Jade Cargill and Naomi. No, excuse me. They started off the show with Becky Lynch, Bayley, and Lyra Valkyria for the U.S. title. Of course, these three have been at each other's throats for the last couple of weeks now, all around this Intercontinental title. Is it the U.S. title or the Intercontinental? Intercontinental, that's correct. But ultimately, Becky Lynch defeats Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Actually pins Bayley after Bayley was going for something on Lyra. So kind of a veteran move from Becky Lynch. I'm interested to see if they move forward with Bayley and Lyra Valkyria still going after Becky. I think you could probably split them and have a new opponent for Becky, but very good, I think, feud as that it's developed over the last couple of weeks. I wasn't quite as into it at the beginning as I am at now, and especially looking back at it. I think this is really wrapped together well and has put a shine on that new title form.
Yeah, and like you said, they're protecting Lyra, which is good. Bayley getting the pin really surprised me, being one of the the four horsewomen and things like that. So that was good there. But yeah, it was a good match. Watching it in there, and it's pretty entertaining. It kind of felt a little thrown together, but when you kind of look back and look at it, there's pieces all around. Becky took Bayley's spot at WrestleMania and all that stuff, and then just the Lyra, the Becky thing, all that fun stuff going on together. So yeah, and the Becky retaining. So she's technically, I know she didn't pin her, but she's technically 2-0 against Lyra now. So yeah, we'll have to see where they decide to go with that next.
Yeah, hopefully something new. I wouldn't completely hate, I suppose, either of these women, singly going after Becky Lynch, but we've kind of seen that before. So we'll see if they add something to it or what they kind of go next there. JC Lane, I believe it is, beat Jordan Grace. We're not going to talk too much about that. That's kind of from the NXT roster, but at least it was the NXT championship was on the line and was represented at Evolution. So that was very cool. Then we had Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez take on the Kabuki Warriors of Asuka and Kairi Sane, Solruka and Zaria, from NXT, and then Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, who had to be the favorites going into this match. Of course, Judgment Day had the title, so they were the ones that were looking to retain here. And it was one of those deals where you could see just about any one of these teams coming out on top. They all had an argument, so it was set up really nice, but ultimately Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez retain and get the win in what I would say somewhat of a surprise. Of course, Judgment Day has all the belts right now, has plenty of the belts, I should say, and these tag team titles are part of it. And Raquel Rodriguez, I think, looks better than she has since her return. Hasn't always looked as good. I think is getting in kind of more some of that ring rust off her or whatever. But now, I mean, this especially kind of as the built, kind of big man of the group, she had I don't know if she calls it a choke slam or whatever it was at the end that ultimately got them the victory that stood out, looked pretty impactful. So I haven't always been a fan of her, especially with this Judgment Day edition of her. I think her outfit has been great. I just didn't know if she was always interesting enough. Now it's kind of funny with losing Liv Morgan, adding Roxanne Perez to the group and allowing Raquel Rodriguez to shine. I think it's better in the long term for obviously Raquel.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. It's like they've unleashed her. They kind of with Liv, she's always great, and we talk about it. She's one of the top performers. But whenever she's champion, it's kind of they turn her into like that coward champion. And Raquel, oh my goodness, it was kind of the one to take the pin. Always kind of in the background, and now she's being used as the force with Roxanne because they're really trying to push the Judgment Day on there. So yeah, it was great, and it was very surprising because, like you said, I thought with the buildup, that Charlotte and Alexa Bliss were giving all the time. I was like, they're in it, they're winning this, and I was genuinely surprised. And now the Judgment Day storyline gets to keep going, and that's fun. And I'm very, very excited to see where they go from here with the Judgment Day on that, and then when Liv Morgan comes back, how that's going to go. Because now Roxanne Perez, I would say, she defended it against, probably the top tag teams, and they're still champs. So she has a claim to stay that tag team champ, even when Liv Morgan comes back.
And we'll see, they had a memorial set up for Liv Morgan there on Monday. So that was kind of funny in the back of the Judgment Day layer there. So that was pretty good. We'll see. It'll be kind of exciting to see what they do next, because I thought they kind of felt like they could have been transitional champions to get them kind of arguing again. That could be a thing. Now that you could do that quickly for Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, we kind of thought, okay, if they're going to win the titles, they're kind of developing something that I think would be interesting to run with as a tag team. And it's a lot of it's just Charlotte Flair's allowing her personality to show up and be a little bit different than it usually is. She's usually kind of looking down on you, and that's her character. She's the queen. She's better than you. And this pairing has allowed her personality to show out a little bit more, which I think is something that she was looking forward to. She kind of did this interview. I don't remember who it was, but they've kind of been making its rounds in wrestling circles about kind of taking Charlotte Flair, the character, and separating it from her real life persona. And so, that's what I was kind of thinking, is they're going to give them the belts, allow them to kind of shine, and allow her to grow through that. Now we'll see if that was all just all right, that's enough of that. We need the old Charlotte Flair back to turn quickly on Alexa Bliss and start up a feud there.
Yeah, I mean, that would be fun. That could be their SummerSlam opponent. But like you said, it kind of happened fast, and I was kind of starting to like the Charlotte, Alexa pairing. They were having fun with it. But Alexa was wearing that "No, We're Not Friends" shirt, I think is what it was saying. So that was something there. But it could be fun.
Allies of Convenience.
Yeah. And it could be fun, but I kind of want to see them kind of keep going through it. This is why maybe how we talk about it, but maybe they need a second tag team belt. I don't know, set of belts, kind of like the men do. That way, there could be multiple champions, and then there could be something there. Hey, Evolution would have been the perfect time for that, but they decided to go against that because they barely built up the show. So I just got to say that unfortunately, this was as great as the matches were going and everything, and as fun. This was a horribly built premium live event.
Yeah, it was weird. It was just kind of a lot of these matches kind of thrown together pretty quickly. So that was interesting in that way. Then the only other note that I kind of wanted to talk about is the Kabuki Warriors as well. Only in that they've kind of said, okay, the Kabuki Warriors are back with ever really ending Damage Control. So now if they're separating them from Io Sky, then you're feeling like Damage Control is probably done. We haven't seen them necessarily as a group, but there's always been, they didn't necessarily bury it yet, but this could be that going on there. We've still got a few matches to talk about, including the Battle Royale, Tiffany Stratton against Trish Stratus, and Jade Cargill in Naomi, and then the main event, which had a shocking in there to it as well, with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. We'll take a quick break. We'll do that when we get back here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Western Sand and Gravel is hiring for a variety of positions at their sand and gravel plants near Ashland. Apply today and receive a $2,500 hiring bonus. Available positions include plant operators, dredge operators, and shop service technicians. They offer great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, paid holidays, and paid time off. No matter your experience level, on-the-job training is available to help you build a rewarding career with Western Sand and Gravel. Start your career today. Visit westernsand.com.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Since 1983, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs have been a trusted and reliable company in Lincoln and the surrounding areas. Fast Mike's handles all sides of construction projects, home renovations, or big cleanouts. With the perfect size dumpster to fit your needs, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs will haul it all. With same-day delivery in Lincoln, affordable rates, and top-notch service, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs make cleanup quick and easy. Call now at 402-450-6828 or visit us online at fastmikeroll-offs.com. Book your dumpster today. Fast Mike's Roll-Offs, cleanup made simple.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Lincoln's go-to for fun isn't new. It's a place that's been a staple of the city for years and is only getting better. Matson's Bowling and Billiards always has open bowling available with no long lines, unlike other centers. They have live music almost every weekend and great food at EJ's Bar and Lounge, with seating for 150 people. They have popular meals like the EJ Burger, pizza for the whole family, and famous EJ's Wings. Contact Sarah to book a party for friends, coworkers, or family at Matson's Bowling and Billiards, just south of 48th and Holdridge.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
Lights out? Let LES know where to go. Powerline matches your phone number to your service address so LES can respond to outages faster. Keep your information up to date at les.com/powerline.
An award-winning softball season deserves a celebration. Don't miss your chance to congratulate Jordy Ball in person. Join the team at Midwest Bank for a special meet and greet on July 16th at their Jamie Lane location as they recognize her incredible achievements. Bring your friends, your team spirit, and your favorite gear for Jordy to sign, and it all kicks off at 4 p.m. They can't wait to see you there. Get all the details at midwest.bank. Midwest Bank, member FDIC.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockoven, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here talking some wrestling with you on 93.7 The Ticket. This is Nuclear Heat. We are going through Evolution, which just wrapped up here from the WWE, so let's jump back into it. We did have Tiffany Stratton take on Trish Stratus. Seemed to be a little bit of a passing of the torch. Excellent match. Trish Stratus looks like she can still go on a nightly basis, but ultimately Tiffany Stratton does get the victory here, which was the right call. Again, predictable can be good if it makes sense in storytelling. And it's tough to say Tiffany Stratton, you remember her beginning of her run as a champion. There was kind of a concern about her promos, and she she's starting to shine through and looks like somebody that could hold this belt for some time now.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think the next move for her would be somehow getting her on Raw, because she's been on SmackDown since her debut about 2 years now. Kind of gone through everybody on the SmackDown side, and Naomi's kind of a SmackDown superstar who and all that stuff. So with things like that, so we'll have to see what they do there with Tiffany. But yeah, I thought this was fun. I was not happy that it was Trish Stratus just coming out, and like, I'm gonna face you, and things like that. I was like, this is such a cash grab. But I should know better, than to be against Trish Stratus. She's got another good maybe 4 or 5 years, before we're maybe like, okay, maybe she shouldn't be coming back. But yeah, this was a good match, and now Tiffany can say she's beat Charlotte, she's beat Trish Stratus, she beat Nia Jax. I think that's it. But other than, those are 3 former champs.
Pretty big names, yeah.
You can put Trish was probably one of the best women's champion, and then Charlotte is going up there, as much as some of us don't like it, but the best as well. And then there's Nia Jax on there,
who's big.
Yeah, and she's beaten them now in her short 2 years. She's like 26 years old, I think, 27. She's got a great career. So I think the next move would be get her over to Raw, where she could kind of be the main women's champion on that show.
Then we got a matchup between Jade Cargill and Naomi with Bianca as the special guest referee. I thought that guest referee spot was perfect. That's what I needed. I really wasn't all that interested in Cargill versus Naomi again, but they set it up to have Bianca be the special guest referee. Probably should have done that at WrestleMania, but either way, this one was interesting, and it was shown to me too. So Cargill ends up winning this thing, and it was they were. Cargill at one time took a camera out of the cameraman's hand and used it as a weapon. They were using anything they could grab as weapons. So this was kind of an exciting bout, but Cargill ultimately did get the win. And I feel like they're just trying to keep her momentum going, because she does have an opportunity at SummerSlam, I believe, against Tiffany Stratton, that is around the corner. But I was just kind of getting tired. It was a surprise to me because I saw it and I said, okay, now Cargill's 2-0 versus Naomi. I said, how is she 2-0? I've seen them fight like 18 million times, but it's all these brawls or different ways to go about it. But in singles competition, it's just been WrestleMania and then here, and then this could be the wrap up for that feud, I should say, as we'll tell you about later.
Yeah, and that's. Yeah, you hit it there. It was a good match. But this is something we thought ended when Jade got her revenge on Naomi and beat her at WrestleMania. Now, like you said, the good guys won twice. There's no reason to keep it going. So, Naomi, Money in the Bank winner, she can kind of go on to that. Bianca is now going to, is getting ready to challenge Tiffany, who we presume, will be the champion there. But the interesting part of it, I think, is Bianca's back.
Yeah.
She's been a part of both of the, this storyline. She was the main figure, and like we said, she should have been in their WrestleMania match, not the other one. Now she's back. How's she going to take that? How is she going to, be, because, Naomi, attacked Jade and all that stuff. And so
which side is she on? We really don't know.
She could be heel. She could be, a good guy. I would love to see her as a heel, but at the same time, you can't really pair her with Naomi right now, because Naomi's on her own thing with that. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
Then we had a battle royale. Always love battle royales. This one coming, lots of different talents from SmackDown and Raw and NXT. Not too much. There's storyline stuff that kind of move forward, but ultimately kind of want to get to the winner here. So I was like the final four. Jakara Jackson was a star of this. She kind of shone through, and we've seen her before, but definitely looked good in this setting. Nikki Bella, who made the return, also made it to the final four. Stephanie McCure, maybe the hottest thing in wrestling as far as the women's side, because she's new, and your favorite Nia Jax were all in the final four. But it ultimately came down to Jackson and McCure, and McCure did get the victory, which sets her up with a title opportunity in Paris.
Yeah, and that'll be interesting to see, who she takes it against, because she, like you said, is probably one of the hottest. So you could go and give her a title now, and I think that'd be fine. But yeah, I thought this was a fun battle royale. Man, Nikki Bella, she just keeps coming back to these battle royales, and she gets second, third, all that stuff. So that's always interesting. But yeah, it's fun, and a good showcase. And we here like battle royales. They're a fun time. Yeah. Nia Jax maybe gets a little too far in them sometimes, but yeah, Stephanie Valkyrie, I think, was the best Or what did Nikki Bella call her? Stephanie Vaquez or something like that. Totally botched her name. But yeah, she has the opportunity now. I forgot that they had another premium live event, Clash at Paris, coming up. You wish maybe Stephanie Valkyrie could challenge one of them at SummerSlam. I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
But they choose Clash at Paris, so I guess we'll have to see if who she goes against and if she can get the job done there.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, we're going to get more into the title picture here as we had the Women's World Championship on the line between Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. Of course, very interesting. We've talked about Rhea Ripley before. Is it more entertaining to have her chase the belt or be the champion? If she is a champion, I think you just kind of need to find more to do with her. They didn't quite stack it up. They kind of had Liv Morgan and then no plans behind it. So we'll kind of see what they do here. But ultimately, this might have been match of the night. I mean, they kind of had the referee again get eliminated for some time. So it looked like Rhea deserved her chance because she got the 1-2-3 pin or whatever on Io Sky. Then they started brawling on the outside. They make all the way back in when both of them look worn out and tired after this long match. Then we do get Naomi's music hit, and she comes out. You're thinking, well, okay, maybe this is the tease here again. Can't quite get it cashed in. She actually does get it cashed in, throws Rhea Ripley out of the ring, hits her finisher on Io Sky, and she is now the champion. Very interesting. Her character is very different than it has been in the past. A lot of people are really behind it. It kind of hopefully gets her away from Jade Cargill. I think it's always a good idea. They did this for Rollins and his cash in. Remember, he lost to Orton before cashing in it famously at WrestleMania. I think it's always a good idea to kind of let you know that night. Okay, well that's what's going on with Naomi, and then so it was a surprise. Although I don't like sometimes they'll just beat them week after week after week, and that gets boring or frustrating. And that hasn't necessarily been happening to Naomi, but she comes out and she now is the champion. Now the question is it going to be a long-term champion who's going to feud with her coming up next? Is it going to be a transitional thing? Is she who Stephanie Vaquer is going to face? All that sort of stuff. But I did not necessarily think that I would see Naomi coming out as champion.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I think as soon as, going back to it, when Naomi won the Money in the Bank, we kind of had our bet that she'd be the first one to not successfully cash in because they keep saying it's 100%, it's 100%. So you got that going there. But yeah, her character, kind of had a revamp, some fans behind it. I'm not as behind it. I kind of wish some newer people, but yeah, it'll be interesting, because Rhea Ripley has still not been Io Sky. I didn't get to watch this match because it was going on while we were doing this.
That's right.
Unfortunately. So I have to go rewatch it, but it is interesting to see who she versus next, because now that I'm thinking about it, they have an opportunity to kind of do something cool here. I know they already announced Jade and Tiffany, right? Because Jade won Queen of the Ring, but Naomi's a champion on the Raw side. Could they maybe, have something go on there? I think that'd be cool. And that'd be fun there. But I mean, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky aren't going to let it go, that she cashed in during their match. So I assume maybe, one of those two would be next up in line for her.
I'll say Bianca Belair's definitely going to have something to say. Too. I think Jade Cargill has an argument considering she's beaten the champion twice now. So we could see similar to what we're seeing tomorrow night on Raw, where you have maybe 5 of them get a ring and fight it out and see who gets the opportunity.
Yeah, I think that'd be a fun time. And, it's good for Naomi. She walked out, when she was unhappy with how they were treating her and came back and thought they weren't really giving her that great of a push, Money in the Bank, and now she's champion again.
Yeah, it's turned out well for her. And there was a time where I said that her character was just kind of floating around and she was kind of just used to elevate matches. And they've really turned that around all the way to having her carry the brand throughout this kind of deal coming back through with Bianca and Jade Cargill. So they've made the storyline work out. They pushed it all the way, and here we are again. I'm just glad that it happened, and it could be a surprise because those are the best moments. That's the best way to utilize the Money in the Bank. We'll see what they do on the men's side with Seth Rollins now going down, holding the Money in the Bank, and he's out with injury. Well, we'll talk about what we see this week from WWE on Nuclear Heat next week at 9 o'clock. We'll see you then.
Need service on your home air conditioner? No matter what brand you have, just call Bryant, 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
What's better than supporting your favorite radio station and eating delicious Nebraska-made products? Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska wants to highlight you, the listener, on the 93.7 The Ticket Wall of Fame at the store. Stop by the store at 48th and R in Lincoln and see their huge variety of small batch gourmet jerky. Or if you're not in the area and want to try some, go to smokinggunjerky.com and enter code EARLY for 10% off your purchase. It's the ultimate low-calorie, high-protein snack at Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska.
A1 Automotive's second location is now open at 5110 State Hill Drive, just off of Yankee Hill Road. The new location continues to specialize in all makes and models and provides personalized service as they have for 15 years. To honor the new store opening, A1